trying to make YouTube videos when you have two little ones is kind of challenging sometimes. You guys, how frustrating it is when you try to do everything you can to get your students to perform and express and put something on their face and nothing works. I can't be the only one that goes through this. So in today's video, I'm gonna give you a couple tips that I apply with my own students, and hopefully it helps you out. Tip number one is you're gonna bake the performance into the choreography. What I mean by this is that whenever you have a specific move that you are putting into your choreography, also think about how you want them to move their body to correspond with it. So for example, if you are doing like a backwards rowboat, right? You probably want it to, instead of just, you know, having their head flat to the front, you might want them to lift up before they finish out that backwards rowboat. And when you are cleaning the choreography, you really want to make sure that you are being specific about applying that, all of that. They're not layers. That's what the move is. Okay, so thinking about the choreography, the performance as a part of the choreography. Tip number two is have your students create 5 facial expressions that they can routinely kind of use in and out of their performance. So for example, if you have a show where you are doing something really deep and emotional and sad, maybe your show is about a heartbreak of some sort, you can have them make 5 different faces that express that particular emotion. Talk about the eyebrows and talk about how your mouth might look. Think about your focus. What I mean by that is think about how intensely are your eyes looking at an object or an audience member. So really considering all of the different ways we can convey sadness through our facial expressions, and even, you know, our body language, our upper body language. Tip number 3 is to have them record each other. This is such an important and powerful tool. If your students are not routinely watching each other and recording each other and watching themselves through that recording, get them to do it. It is so important that they understand what they look like, especially if they can have somebody record them, not just, you know, and I'm not talking about just a run through where you can see the whole entire production. No, I mean a zoomed in shot of just that one student where they can see themselves up close and personal and all of the tiny details that they need to make sure that they have checked off in order to make sure that that choreography looks the best that it can. So when you do that, the reason why I like to utilize the partners is because, number one, it allows them to exchange feedback with each other. And I think that can be such a powerful tool when you don't hear it just from your instructor, but you hear it from your peers as well. And on top of that, when they see themselves in a recording, they can really see what people are talking about. So that combination is very powerful. You also want to make sure that they are watching for performance qualities. So sometimes when we have our students give each other feedback, they are giving feedback, but it's not specific enough and it doesn't pinpoint what it is that we need them to address. Giving your students something specific to look for whenever they are giving feedback to their partners. So for example, you want them to make sure that they are projecting and using very outward energy, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. You want to make sure that they are being very purposeful about how they use their focus, aka how they are projecting the energy out of their eyeballs, and how they're looking up, if they are using any parts of their face to express. Giving your students those very specific things to look for is going to be so helpful, rather than just sending them out there and saying, all right, tell them what you see, because sometimes they don't see the things that we see. They don't, and you know that. I love this one, and tip number 4 is I like to have my students go across the floor using different energies. Okay, so here's what I would do. I would just have them simply walk across in a moderate tempo. You can play music or you can't. I like to start off without music just so they can really focus on this one thing, and it's focus. So as they are walking across, the first time they are going to just have very, I'm forgetting the word, but it's just very like inward focus. That's the word, inward focus. So it would be this kind of like, if you were just kind of thinking to yourself, your focus is going to be inwards, right? So see how my eyes, they're not really looking out, okay? And then the next time you would go across, you would have them have more like medium outward focus. So more like noticing people that are in fairly relatively close proximity, kind of like if you were to walk down the hallway at your school, you're just noticing other people and things in the hallway, right? And then the third pass would be to have them look above and beyond the four corners of the room. So if you are in a very big band hall rehearsing, or if you are in a gym, you really want to push them to look past the walls of the gym, right? A very large space, so you really want to make sure that you are intentionally trying to look past something so that you can practice sending your energy in varying amounts. Something else that you can do along those lines is have them practice looking like you do the inward focus and then look at, like if you were to do this in partners where they're sitting and facing each other. So inward focus, looking at your partner, and then looking through your partner. Very different energies in the focus. And though that tiny little shift is going to help them to understand, oh, my eyeballs are such an important part of the puzzle. And not only is the focus important in terms of how much you are projecting through your eyes, but also telling them what you look at is going to be what the audience looks at. So in this part of the choreography, I want everyone to look at the top of the flag, and then we look down at the bottom, and then we look at our arm as we port a bra to the side. Number 5 is make sure that they have the chance to look at other performers that are more mature and more experienced than they are. So if you get a chance to keep them late and have them watch finals, or take them to a drum corps show, take them to, put on DCI or WGI videos, or even videos of dance companies on YouTube, and just really, and see if you can find rehearsal videos or footage where it's just like a really good shot of the performers, and that way the students can see, okay, this is what I should be aiming for. Having that visual example is going to help so much, so that they really understand what it is that you are trying to get them to do. Tip number 6 is similar to the across the floors with the focus, but this time you can do it with whatever it is that you want to embed into your show, right? So you can do different types of character walks. Maybe you're walking really angrily across the floor. Maybe you're skipping really happily, or you can mix it up and make it silly, and you could say, I am skipping angrily across the floor. Maybe you want them to, maybe your show is about pirates and you want them to convey the character of a pirate. So just making sure that you're having them practice doing those things. And to take it a step even further, if your show is about pirates, really have them study, well, what was it like to be a pirate? Like the day in the life of a pirate. Maybe you could look that up on YouTube. What do pirates do? What do you think they're going through emotionally? How do you think they feel in these different scenarios? How do you think that manifests into their characteristics and how they communicate with each other and their body language? So kind of really nitpicking into the character and having them study alongside with you. And last but not least, you want to make sure that you are just patient with your students, especially if they are brand new and they are young, especially as we are kind of coming back from this other side of COVID. We're rebuilding our programs. We have not as many vets as we might be used to. Just be patient and don't have that expectation that it's going to happen at the drop of a dime. It might take all year for them to figure it out. It might just take them until the end of the season, and then they have a little break, and then when you jump into winter guard season here in a few months, they might get it a little more, right? I always say learning is messy, so just be patient, give them grace, and just keep in mind any progress is progress. So even if it's just a little bit, celebrate it, and celebrate it with them. They love whenever we give them, especially kids of this generation, they really love that positive affirmation, that positive feedback. They just want to know that they are moving in the right direction. So if we can help them out a little bit, I think that will go a long way for our programs. Well, those are my tips for this video. I hope that you found them helpful. Comment down below what you want to see next. Don't forget to give it a like so that other people just like you and I teaching our color guards can find this video, so that hopefully it can help them. And last but not least, if you found it helpful, share it with a buddy. And if you like content like this, subscribe and check out my other videos. So you gotta stay over there, okay, baby? Can you stay over there? Go by the wheel, okay? Mama, that's too noisy, okay? You're being too loud. You gotta be quiet, okay? Zoe, you can't make noise, okay? Can you go play in your room for a little bit? You're being too loud, okay? You're being too loud. Zoe, stop moving. Stay over there and stop moving, okay? Okay, baby? Okay, go sit down. Zoe, you can't be in the video, okay?